Live updates, Russia-Ukraine live news, Zaporizhzhia plant reconnected to grid. Ukraine's state nuclear power company says the Zaporizhzhia plant has been reconnected to the country's energy grid. Kyiv and Moscow trade blame over the disruption, accusing one another of shelling. Belarusian Su-24 warplanes have been refitted to carry nuclear armaments, the country's president says. Russia burning off gas while cutting supplies to EU, report. Russia is wasting large volumes of natural gas by burning it in a huge orange flare near the Finnish border at a time when it has sharply cut deliveries to the European Union, analysts have told the Reuters news agency. Rystad, an energy consultancy based in Norway, described Moscow's move as an environmental disaster, with about 9,000 tons of CO2 being emitted every 24 hours, and estimated the amount of gas being burned off into the atmosphere was equivalent to about 0.5% of daily EU needs. The spectacular flare can be seen in satellite images of Portovaya, site of a compressor station for the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline under the Baltic Sea to Germany. Russia has cut flows through Nord Stream 1 to just 20% of capacity and plans to shut it down entirely for 3 days next week, citing maintenance issues with turbines. The EU accuses it of using gas as a weapon to fight back against Western sanctions over Ukraine. Flaring is a common practice in oil and gas production, but the current level is unusually high and the timing is sensitive because of the Russian supply cuts. Timeline: 6 months of Russia's war in Ukraine. This week marked the 6-month point of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Since its February 24 start, Moscow's offensive has killed thousands of people, displaced millions of others and destroyed entire cities. Ukraine says one reactor at Zaporizhzhia plant reconnected to energy grid. Ukraine's state nuclear power company says that one reactor at the Zaporizhzhia plant has been reconnected to the Ukrainian energy grid. Energoatom said in a Telegram post that the reactor was building up capacity after it, and the 5 other reactors at the facility, were disconnected from the grid for hours following alleged Russian shelling on Thursday. Russian gas storage is 91.4% full, Gazprom, the Kremlin-controlled energy giant, has said that Russian gas storage was 91.4% full as of August 24. The level of Russian gas storage before the winter heating season has been watched closely since Moscow said the need to fill domestic storage is to be prioritized over gas exports. How Ukraine turns cheap tablets into lethal weapons. In Ukraine, Army SOS, an activist-led NGO, has been converting Android-based tablets into smart units with automated precision guidance. Via specialized software named Compressor, the devices can be transformed from their regular functions to calculate the distance to targets and direct shots of each type of artillery used in the Ukrainian military. Russia says it destroyed howitzer used to shell Zaporizhzhia plant. Russia's defense ministry says its forces have destroyed a United States-made M777 howitzer which it claims was used by Ukrainian troops to shell the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. In its daily briefing, the ministry said that the howitzer had been destroyed west of the town of Marhanets, in Ukraine's central eastern Dnipropetrovsk region. There was no immediate comment from Kyiv on the claims. Al Jazeera was unable to independently verify the battlefield accounts. Ukraine is working to restart 2 Zaporizhzhia reactors, regional governor. Ukraine has begun trying to resume operations at 2 reactors at the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in southeastern Ukraine, according to a regional official. Oleksandr Staruk, the governor of the Zaporizhzhia region, said in televised remarks that the plant's 6th reactor was working at 10% of capacity. The 5th reactor was in the process of resuming operations, he added. Lukashenko says Belarusian planes refitted to carry nuclear weapons. Belarusian Su-24 warplanes have been refitted to carry nuclear armaments, the country's president has said. Speaking to reporters, Alexander Lukashenko said that he had previously agreed to the move with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. Belarus does not have its own nuclear weapons but relies financially and politically on Moscow, its close ally. Russia deployed forces to Belarusian territory under the pretext of military drills prior to launching its invasion and then funneled troops into Ukraine when it began the offensive on February 24. 6 months of war in Ukraine, 5 key military takeaways. After half a year of fighting, Russia has sunk deeper and deeper into a quagmire. Ukraine's resistance to the invasion has forced Russia's military to a virtual standstill, its image as a fighting force shattered for the near future. Turkey dismisses concerns over U.S. sanctions warning. Washington's warning to Turkey that its companies risk being sanctioned if they do business with sanctioned Russian individuals and firms is meaningless, Turkish Finance Minister Nuruddin Nebati has said. The United States Treasury warned both the country's largest business group Tuziyat and the Finance Ministry this month that Russian entities and individuals were attempting to use Turkey to bypass Western sanctions imposed on Moscow over its offensive in Ukraine. Some Turkish firms have purchased or sought to buy Russian assets from Western partners pulling back from the country, while others maintain large assets there. Ankara has repeated that Western sanctions will not be circumvented in Turkey. The letter relayed to Turkish business groups creating concern among business circles is meaningless, Nebati tweeted. We are determined to improve our economic and commercial relations with our neighbors, especially in the areas of tourism and various sectors within a framework that is not subject to sanctions. Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant still disconnected from grid, Energoatom. All 6 reactors at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant in southeastern Ukraine are still disconnected from the country's electricity grid, Ukraine's state nuclear company has said. Energoatom said electricity for the plant's own needs was currently being supplied through a power line from Ukraine's electricity system, and that work was continuing to restore grid connection to the plant's 2 functioning reactors. It added there were currently no issues with the plant's machinery or its safety systems.